All right, we are live on YouTube. Let's get live on Instagram here. All right, we are live on Instagram as well. Awesome. Welcome, my friends. Happy Tuesday. I think I got that right. Tuesday. Days all blend together. Hope you're having a great start to your week. I wanted to jump on here today to talk about one topic that comes up, or next part really, in our Pullman Lab Bundle series around what is at the center of those that are struggling to lose weight, struggling to lower their blood sugar. We see this time and time again. And oftentimes there's commonalities, right, that we see. And so this one will be less about like the minerals, although, it is a part of like our Pullman Lab bundle that we'll be, talking about and that we run with clients. And a big part of it, really, too. And so minerals in this topic of today kind of go hand in hand, and that's why it's a part of our bundle, which, like I've said in previous lives within this series, you can get within our mineral mapping program starting October 6th as well. So please reach out if you have any questions or you want to get started with that. Um, this lab is particularly important for those that have like this insulin weight loss resistance, because there's one, and it's not the only thing, but there's one area that can be very, very helpful to take a look at, and that area is known as leptin. Some of you guys might have heard of it before. Some of you guys might not have. And like, what is that? Well, it's a hormone that your body produces, and I kind of think about it like a gas gauge. On your car, like you have, it has like the full or the halfway or the empty markers, kind of along that gas gauge. Well, leptin is kind of that communication signal to our body in terms of how much energy our body has available, right? And so, sticking with that gas gauge example, when it's functioning normally, we see that gas gauge and we can tell when we need to fill our car up with gas, right? That's the function of it, to make sure we have enough energy to get from point A to point B, right? And this leptin does a whole lot of things with our body. It helps us to have a healthy appetite. It helps us to be able to lose weight, to be able to regulate our blood sugar, lower insulin resistance, have great energy, right? Even stimulates our thyroid to work well, to work healthy, to have a functioning level of thyroid, right? So all these different pieces are really, really important when it comes to leptin. Then when those are impacted, or when leptin is impacted, then ultimately you see more symptoms when it comes to that. Maybe you have no appetite or very ravenous appetite despite eating balanced meals. You have more cravings. You have more fatigue. You have more weight loss resistance, we call it, where you can't lose weight despite what you try in terms of dieting. You can't lower your blood sugar despite trying a lot of things to in fact do that, right? So it's almost like the stuckness, right? And so when leptin isn't working, what ends up happening is the signal that leptin is supposed to be transmitting isn't being received by the brain, right? And our brain needs to receive these signals in order to perform these functions that we're talking about, to get the benefits of it. And what will happen is this signal in leptin will continue to rise, and continue to rise, and continue to rise, until it kind of produces the opposite effect, where we really struggle to lower blood sugar. Again, we really struggle to lose weight, right? So we can see this on the lab work, and we do this for a lot of our clients that have more of like the weight loss, insulin resistant. And what we'll find is this leptin value will be significantly above 10 for many people. The client that I'm kind of referring to at the moment, was hers was at like a 50 something, like a 53, I believe, which is quite high. And that tends to, coincide with, the fact that that person may have leptin resistance, right? And downstream of that, of course, is any blood sugar issues. So she was someone with type 2 diabetes at the start. And, with this leptin issue is almost behind somebody having blood sugar conditions, blood sugar concerns. It's not the only thing, but it particularly for those that have the insulin and weight loss resistance, particularly for those, generally speaking, this will be probably quite high for most of them because it's the thing that is underneath the reason why you're dealing with high blood sugar in the first place, right? And, leptin is what we call a circadian rhythm hormone. What does that mean? Well, this hormone can be affected by like our light environment. So when I say the light environment, I mean like outdoors sunlight. I mean indoors artificial light. I also mean signals of daytime, like eating, for example. Like eating is a daytime signal that we're giving to our body that hey, it's daylight hours, right? And so all of those things end up impacting leptin levels. And so the more that we can kind of personalize that plan, those strategies to that person in terms of their light environment, whether that be outdoors or indoors, but also their food, and ideally consuming most of your food during those daylight hours. And kind of how I say it too is to really to fill your body with satiating, satisfying foods as early as you can. Because when you can do that, again, it gives your body those signals that it's daytime when it's daytime, right? It gives your body the signals when you're eating breakfast. It gives your body a signal that it is daytime. When you're eating lunch, when you're eating a snack, when you're eating dinner, right? All of those things give your body signals that it's daytime. Where we work with many people is we'll see the opposite. We'll see most of them consuming their highest calorie or most food relative to them, right? At this time, at the very end of the day. And it might be maybe afternoon on or dinner on where they're having most of their food, right? And that's like a mismatch with what our body needs ultimately. And so, with our clients, we can make these tweaks to their nutrition. We can make those tweaks to their environment, right? It really helps them to lose weight. It's fascinating how well this works because with our clients that have had like a lot of dieting history and haven't been able to lose a pound and maybe have taken the Ozempics even of the world, they are able to lose like 15 to 30 pounds even without trying, right? They're able to regain their energy. They're able to reverse their cravings so those don't come up as often. They're able to normalize their high blood sugar, right? They're able to go off of medications. They're able to normalize their appetite so they actually feel full and stabilized for hours and hours and hours after a meal simply by looking at this hormone and optimizing it, right? So we find that's really huge for these types of clients, and that's why we want to talk about it today. And I think it can be a great addition, even whether you do it here on your own, to see, what the level of insulin or leptin resistant that you are, and the more that number is above 10 significantly, ultimately that's going to play a big role in your ability to lower your blood sugar and your ability to lose weight, right? And so if that's something that you would like to see, yourself tested and get that level for yourself, all you have to do is join our mineral mapping program and opt for the labs. And that is a part of your lab work as well. All right. If you have any questions on this, feel free to DM me or put those in the comments down below. More than happy to answer any other questions on that. But this is a significant area for many people with that insulin and leptin resistant who can't lose weight, can't lower their blood sugar, and it allows really clients to see progress so they can get that freedom again. So I hope that was helpful. Again, if you have any questions, pop those down below. But look forward to seeing you guys in the next live here on Wednesday. All right. Take care, guys.